Ultra Instinct Jiren. I know everybody wants to hear what Clickbait for Anime has to say about Jiren's power. What is Jiren's power? Well, I'm a little bit pissed off for starters because I actually recorded this discussion before the release of the last Dragon Ball Super episode, and then when it came out I figured, okay, I need to update some things, so let me just redo the whole video. There were some very interesting things on display from Jiren in the episode. So, for starters, we know that Jiren has some sort of very similar ability to the Ultra Instinct at the very least. This goes without question. It's called the Advanced Movement Analysis, where Jiren was able to predict those flying blocks behind him where they were going to land. So he himself did not have to move out of the way. He simply, I guess, had the foresight to see he didn't have to move out of the way. Already, in a way, you could sort of lean this in the direction of instincts, right? That's an instinct, some sort of instinct. But are these advanced senses we've seen on display the same senses that Goku was pulling out, the same senses that the gods pull out? Of course, the gods were watching the Goku versus Jiren fight. They didn't refer to Jiren as the Ultra Instinct user. No, they didn't even bring up any sort of instincts that he was using. They were only referring to Goku in that way, which leads me to believe that if Jiren has some sort of Ultra Instinct ability, it is one that is distinct, possibly to his race, or maybe he's perfected it to a state beyond the gods, right? And for some reason, the gods are not able to interpret the state that Jiren is using because it's different now, because for some reason, he has attained power the gods have never seen. Something of that sort. When they were watching those two fight, they said that Goku's version was the one that was hard for the gods to attain. It was Goku's version of the state that they were all referring to as the Ultra Instinct. They didn't refer to Jiren that way, so that's a very important thing to note. So here's what's leading me to believe that Jiren has some distinct, unique version of the Ultra Instinct, but his distinct, unique version has one major flaw. There's a stamina issue with it. And what do I mean by that? Is that his version, he needs to constantly meditate and, in a way, regenerate his powers. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to use those same abilities. And that's why we constantly see Jiren always concerned about the environment, about overusing your abilities, like how he was, talking to Dispo and Topo, like, let them take on these guys, like, you guys don't need to bother using your energy. The reason he's always thinking about conserving energy is because, yes, he has some sick, insane power, but there's a limit to it, and if he does not restore his powers, and keep in mind what you saw at the end of the episode, it wasn't actually him using his abilities. He has some sort of like Conqueror's hockey where if you're like too weak, you can't even hit him, right? There's like this barrier. Well, he needs to restore his powers. Otherwise, I think he's going to have to fight with some more basic abilities. It's possible that every single time he uses that power impact technique that we've already saw a couple times, and it's a devastating blow, right? If it get hit out of the arena, that's some skilled. Well, it's a big possibility that every time he uses that, it takes a while for him to restore that amount of power to where he can use that technique again. It's almost like he could absorb powers and energy to an extent. Maybe for some reason his Ultra Instinct manifested that way because maybe he's a different race than the other mortals. Maybe most of the mortals, they acquire one version and then Jiren's race for some reason acquired another. We don't know. Hopefully the God of Destruction in Jiren's universe kind of goes into detail explaining his abilities some more in the future episodes. It's all speculation and I'm stepping into theory territory right here, so don't take anything I just said as a fact, right? Hopefully the God of Destruction in Jiren's universe clarifies some of his abilities in the next upcoming few weeks, but I wouldn't, place all your bets on it, right? Toei's writing has been a little bit sloppy, and if we never find out Jiren's abilities, or if his abilities are just that he's powerful, I would not be surprised if Toei actually takes it in that direction. Now, we just talked about how Jiren is very interested in conserving energy, which is why he's very concerned about which fighters he has left to fight, right? Like, who's left? It's Goku and maybe someone else, but You could see someone who's very powerful and has no flaws whatsoever and is invincible is not going to even be thinking about all that stuff. Well, when Jiren was fighting Hit, one thing I noticed is that he was adapting to the time skip within like a couple of minutes. Now, why is this important? Because one of the perks of the Ultra Instinct is it allows you to adapt as you're fighting. In fact, grow as you're fighting. It's some sort of natural Zenkai boost without the actual period of recovery. Now, it's a possibility that Jiren has multiple abilities in the sense that if he uses some specific abilities like the Power Impact, he has to recover that energy, right? He has to meditate, he has to absorb more power from the universe, and it takes time for him to get that power back. Whereas he also might have another power where he still is able to adapt and grow on a more basic level using that ability. So I'm not saying Jiren has one ability. I'm not claiming he has this specific ability. It could be that he has multiple abilities, right? But it's important to note that as he was fighting Hit, he was adapting to his abilities extremely quickly, almost immediately. And you could observe the same thing taking place when Jiren was fighting Goku. Goku went Ultra Instinct and he was able to keep up with that great surge of power that Goku just pulled out, right? Like it came out of nowhere, and Jiren, he was able to react in time. Even though every single time Goku blocked Jiren's hits, he was able to hit him faster, stronger. I believe Jiren was also growing during that fight, which would explain why in the end, Goku was not able to win the fight, because Jiren also progressively got stronger as Goku was. Now, I don't know how much weight I should give to the whole Jiren possesses the power to transcend time itself. Like, how much weight should we give to that statement? Is that specific to Hit and his time skip abilities, or does that extend beyond that specific fight and he just literally has abilities to transcend time? And if that is the case, why does he have abilities to transcend time? And what kind of abilities do allow him to transcend time? What is it specifically that allows him to transcend time? Because as far as I'm concerned, Ultra Instinct is a way for your body to just like move on its own without thinking. And yeah, in a way, it allows you to transcend time, but not really. It just allows you to master the present time in the best way possible. I originally made a theory about Jiren even before the Ultra Instinct transformation came up, or the Mastery of Self movement, that Jiren had the ability to read the future. And at first, like, I was checking myself, like, Double Four, you're stupid. You're just, you're just pulling stuff out of your booty cheeks, right? And then when the Goku versus Jiren fight premiered, then I realized, like, okay, yeah, my theory was stupid. It's that Jiren probably has Ultra Instinct himself. And it's still a possibility that he has the technique, and it's still a possibility that he has some other powers. But it could explain why Jiren's able to transcend time if he could see events in the future just a little bit, right? You see, Hit can skip time, right? Maybe Jiren, the reason why he's able to react to things and adapt to things so quickly is because for some reason, whether it be his eyes that are glaring or some other perk of his body, he's able to, I guess, read events in the future like a couple of seconds, and he knows exactly what to do in order to respond in time. That could be a possibility. Again, I'm also going off on a whim. I don't know how much weight to give to that statement of Jiren having powers to transcend time. Like, what does that even mean? Like, because it's gotten to a point where they're overhyping Jiren to the point to where I really hope Toei's prepared to explain all of this hype away, because if they don't, it could be very disappointing where, you just break the power scaling even more, because the power scaling's already messed up in the series. I would hate for them to destroy it even more. So Ultra Instinct Jiren, is it a thing? Nobody knows, but I'm gonna have to say yes, I think it is a thing. And the reason I think it's a thing is, they constantly push this technique / transformation as something that is hard for even the gods to attain, right? Beerus is there sweaty watching Jiren fight. So that leads me to believe that Ultra Instinct is the next power down the line that very, very, very powerful mortals can attain eventually, right? As I've said, this is innate to the angels most likely, and then it's passed down. And there's nothing that states that gods of destructions are all from a god race, right? They're simply mortals that attain really high levels of power that are given that status. Is it that Jiren has some other enormous unexplainable power and he also has the Ultra Instinct, or is it that his Ultra Instinct has reached such great heights that, you know, some of the other gods of destructions can't even tell that it's Ultra Instinct? Because keep in mind, none of them were looking at Jiren like, you know, he has Ultra Instinct. They were just amazed by his sheer power. It could have something to do with his race. Hopefully the god of destruction in his universe touches up on that. And having a power that transcends time, guys, that is a really heavy thing to put on a character. And could Ultra Instinct surpass time? Maybe. I mean, you don't have to think at all when you move. Maybe the universe is doing the thinking for you. Maybe that's why you transcend time. I don't know, guys. I'm going off on a whim, of course. I want to hear your guys' thoughts, though. Tell me what you think in the comments section below. Does Jiren have Ultra Instinct? Would that take away from the uniqueness